How would you like to make your first million? And today we have Rebecca Eire Blu with us, which is the founder of Blue Sky Financial. And she is a financial advisor, a mission to help women break free from financial dependence and confusion. She works with women, families, and entrepreneurs to design tax efficient retirement strategies and long term wealth plans that prioritize independence and legacy. Rebecca believes literacy in power and that women deserve a seat and the head of the financial table. Oh, we're going to have a very interesting conversation today. So, Rebecca, tell us, what are the 5 steps that you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
I'm a big believer in action. So many entrepreneurs get stuck in creating the brand. I need a pretty logo. I need a pretty name. Your brand isn't the problem. Your revenue is. So the first thing you need to do is take action. Nobody cares about your logo if you can't close business. So first things first, master your craft. Number two, if you don't have a tax strategy, even from day one, when you incorporate, you're working for the IRS, not for yourself. For us in America, that's the IRS. You don't have an income problem, you have a leak problem, right? So if you don't have a tax plan, you're immediately going to be in partnership in business with the IRS. Your business is not your wealth. Number three, your business doesn't make you wealthy, so we need to stop pretending that it does. If all of our money is trapped in our business, we're overexposed. So entrepreneurs are notorious for being crappy planners for themselves because we're rainmakers, right? We make money, so we don't plan for our own wealth until the day when we don't want to work anymore. And then we're like, now I have nothing because I plowed it all back in the business. So three, your business is not your wealth. Stop pretending that it is. Number four, know your metrics. Revenue doesn't make you rich, but cash flow discipline does. If I ask you, what's your net revenue? You should be able to tell me. You should be able to tell me right now. How many leads do I need to bring in to make my first million? You should know that. If you don't, you have a very expensive hobby. You do not have a business. Number five, if everything depends on you, you don't have a business. You own a job. Your first million doesn't come from working harder. It comes from designing a business that works without you. That's five.
Wow, very impressive. So let's talk about Rebecca. Have a while ago, I interviewed the Minister of Finance of Zimbabwe. He told me that he has a plan over there where he lends money to people, okay, and then they grow the vegetables. They use this money to in the farm, and after they make some profit, they give back the loan. However, he told me that a huge percentage of women are giving back the loans, and on the other hand, men are not so responsible. So that government is really happy lending to women. So if that's the case, why we have in tech, in the women in tech, so little VC funding, almost nothing? And what is your opinion to enhance women in business? Because they're clearly capable, right?
Yes, we are. Thank you. We are very capable. Yes. I think the old boys network is alive and well, right? Business has always been not just about what you know and how educated you are, but about who you know. And women are new to the table. So we need to be better about advocating for ourselves. And that means, and it's hard to be a to be a woman, right? Because sometimes if we come across too strong, if I come across strong and I'm a man, then I'm a good leader. If I come across too strong as a woman, well, it rhymes with witch, right? That still happens to us. Yes. So advocating for ourselves and saying, hey, I am just as good. I can talk to you about numbers. I know my metrics. I have my business. And why do women pay back their loans? Because we do budgets all the time. We have to feed our children. And let me
Absolutely.
tell you, budgets means security means more to women. Men, and I've been married for 31 years, and I can tell you that this is true in my marriage. My husband will tell you, don't worry about it. Everything's going to work out just fine. Everything's going to be great. And I'm going to say, rain doesn't fall on everybody all the time. We're going to take care of this right now because I need that security. Women are reliable, and as we have come to the table and earned our seat at the table, we're great risks, but we need to advocate for ourselves to say, hey, I belong here. I belong here.
100%. 100%, because otherwise, I said, look where we are. Still, I mean, if you look for the data of the funding for business for women out there, especially in the tech space, it's just ridiculous. The percentage is so incredibly low versus men, to the point that it's ridiculous, right? And on the other hand, those women have been in these, have exit businesses, have been very successful, that they are great entrepreneurs. They're actually very investable, and yet they find it challenging with funding. Somebody else, I trained in London for my speakers, that she was starting a movement, and she told me, Harry, they hired me in my company just because I'm a woman and because they're gonna, my photo look nice in the C-suite of the company. But she said that she's a Harvard graduate and they were not taking any consideration or anything about what she was saying in the company, until she realized finally that the whole point that they hired her is because she looks amazing in the C-suite. Like, they have a woman there, Harvard graduated, whatever. But he just to tick the box, right, and actually bring her to the organization to thrive, right? And so I was training her to create her own organization, about women and so on. So bottom line, I still have these kind of stereotypes out there. You know what? The body's full of men. Let's pick a good woman with this face and good CV, and then we add her here, and we can get away with it. Otherwise, this is not going to look good in the company. And but again, I don't understand, because those companies that are led by boys. Then what happened? Because women also, I think that if you have a culture with everyone in the company, they are boys. Well, you're gonna end up only boys, but I don't know. That's what I think. Anyway, so women in business. Tell us, and Rebecca, you mentioned to me that you have few children. Yeah, I want you to mention how many, because okay, that make mistake. But I'm sure that there is more than one. So how you handle a life and home with business at the same time? Because at the end of the day, this is exactly what you said. At home, finance is always one who take care of it. Yeah. Boys, we are like, could be fine. Look, you had a point. I know John Gray, he wrote the book Women Are for Venus and Men Are for Mars, something like that. He has sold 50 million book, and he told me, Harry, we are different. Women and men are different. I sold 50 million books in the topic, so I can tell you it's different. So tell us about business and life at home.
Sure. So I have 7 children and 6 grandchildren. So most of my children are grown now. But I was an
Sounds
entrepreneur.
busy.
Pardon? Yes.
Sounds
Oh, yes.
busy to me.
Yes, much. But I've been an entrepreneur all of my life. So I homeschooled all of my children and now have 6 grandchildren. So I'm familiar with the struggle of paying attention and educating children and also building a business at the same time. And it is different for us, right? Men and women are different, and we need to pay attention to that. Let's face it, in America, the wage gap is still alive and well, right? Women are paid less than our equally educated peers. And there are reasons for that, right? And it's not all discrimination. It is because we are mothers and we do take that time. But also when we come to the workforce, and you mentioned this, right? There are women who get seats at the table because we're a pretty face, right? We look good on a business card, but that doesn't mean that we're paid attention to. And so I think when women come back into the workforce, we need to really own our own power. We need to say, not only do I get a seat at the table, but I need to be heard at the table, right? I don't know if you've heard this study, Harry, but there was a study of male and female executives and how much power each of them held in C-suites, right? So what they did was they studied how often men and women were interrupted in meetings. And they took 9 executives and said, we're going to measure how often the women are interrupted versus how often the men are interrupted. And the women were interrupted 3 times more than the men. So they had a seat at the table, but were talked over and interrupted anytime they said anything. Now, you might think that that's a very small study, just 9 executives, except that study was of Supreme Court judges in America. Female Supreme Court judges are talked over and interrupted 3 times as much as male Supreme Court judges. These are not uneducated women. They deserve to be
No,
heard.
absolutely, absolutely. And it let's talk about also finance and also women entrepreneurs, okay? Because the first employee that I have in my business, they were women, right? And it was amazing because I remember the manager was telling me, Harry, there is a problem with this. And when the guest was telling me there is a problem with this, there's a problem with this, at the third time I knew there was a problem, right? We're very direct and it's very good for business if you have an startup, right? You need someone that even with us with men, right? Women, you can say, women, can I go out with you? And then we say, no, why? But I don't like you, I don't like you. So I don't want to go out with you, right? So women are very direct when it comes to the certainty that they have. That's the way they are in general, which in my business was really productive. They were telling me the problem there and there, and they were repeating it again and again. And where I think men's like, we're gonna be fine. Why we won't work out, yeah. So especially on my at the beginning of my business, it was very productive to have women. So I got a personal experience employing women, and I have millions, and that's the truth. And we see millions only with girls, right? However, and then we have this that the coach is taking care of money and so on. So what do you think that is the biggest weak point of women in business? Why we don't have more women entrepreneurs out there?
I think it's twofold, right? And the answer is the old boys club, right? There's glass ceiling. That's the easy answer. But the harder answer is that women, we need to advocate for ourselves. And so we're taking care of our children, right? We have we have boomerang children, right? So I have 3 sons and 4 daughters, and 2 of my sons and 1 of my daughters still live at home. Only one of them is a minor, right? I have 1 boomerang and one just still kind of hanging out, right? So we take care of our boomerang children, but we also are in a position now where we are taking care of our aging parents, right? So from a financial perspective, when we have a job and they want to be an entrepreneur, but now I'm still taking care of my kids and I'm taking care of my where am I going to find the chutzpah to take the leap into being an entrepreneur? Our needs often come last. So as women, we need to own our own power and say, hey, it's my time. And yes, my kids are grown. Y'all gonna have to learn to care for your own selves now. And that's an okay thing for a mom to say and to garner assistance to deal with all of our other responsibilities, taking care of potentially aging parents so that we can chase our own dreams. So it has to be both, right? I think men are demonstrating that they're willing to open the door, right? They're willing to say, yes, women deserve a seat at the table. Like that conversation asked and answered. Yes, that's true. Women should be here. But now we need to step into that and say, it's our time. Our kids can take care of themselves. We can get the support we need with our other responsibilities so that we can chase our own dreams. And women are by nature, and we've talked about this, right? Different than men, we're caretakers. And it's in our nature to take care of others and put ourselves last. And sometimes our entrepreneurship dreams are self-care, right? We need to take the step, make the business plan, go for it, learn what we need to learn to start what we want to fulfill our calling in the world, which is not just, not that it's not a big deal, mother of 7 children, not just motherhood, daughterhood, and wifedom, right? All of those things are important, but they're not everything. We have a calling. We have a calling to make a difference in the world, and we need to own that just as much as we own the other things that we do.
Tell us your story, why you decided to become entrepreneur.
I'm a very bad employee. I'm a
Me
very
too.
bad employee.
Me too.
So I'm the daughter of a rancher. My dad was a rancher in South Dakota. So I didn't ever really see anyone working a job where you have to like show at a certain time and you get a paycheck every week. That's not what I learned, right? So when I was a child, I think I was 12 when I started my own quote unquote business, right? So this is revealing my age a little bit, but I saw a little ad in the back of a newspaper. I don't know if y'all had these where you grew up, but in the back of our county newspaper, there was a little ad that said, I'll teach you how to make money if you send me $1. I had $1. So I sent the person $1 in the mail with a stamp, and they sent me a little kit that said, if you put ads in the back of county papers, people will send you dollars. So I did that when I was like 12. And my dad came home one day from the fields. He picked up the mail and he said, what is this? And he had a pile of envelopes made out to Wolf Incorporated. That was my last name at the time was Wolf. That was my maiden name. And he's like, what is this? What have you done? And I opened them and I said, I have a business. Look at all these dollars. I'm making money. And those were our neighbors, right? Sending me my not super impressed, but that was my first venture into entrepreneurship. Like, okay, take action. Here we go. I'm going to put an ad in the paper as a 12-year-old and pay the money from my little allowance. And that's what I did. So I never get into the idea that I'm going to have a job for 40 years, right? And just show up at the same time, go home at the same time, and do the same thing every single day. It's just, I'm wired. I think entrepreneurs are wired a little differently, right? We dream different than that. So that was my
And
first foray into entrepreneurship. Well, I mean, ranchers are entrepreneurs to a certain extent, right? They don't certainly don't where they just work all the time, much like entrepreneurs, right? You work when you get up and you work till you can't work anymore. You fall down, you get up and do it again the next day. I married an entrepreneur. So, my husband and I have built several businesses over the years. And it's just always been what I've done. And most of my children now are entrepreneurs as well. So
tell
it
us
seems to
about
be
the
in our,
businesses. Tell us about
pardon?
the business that you tell us about the businesses that you had before, and which one was the biggest challenge, and how you overcome that challenge.
So my husband developed he had a medical company that we built together. That was, we were 20. We built it out of our bedroom and made it into a multi-million-dollar company. That was the first thing that we did together. We had a stint with a record company. We owned a record company for a while, and that didn't go very well. I was a vegan chef. That's probably my biggest business other than
Wow,
finance. I was a vegan chef for a while, and I learned so
wow.
much. I learned so much. We had vegan pies in grocery stores across America. I'm not vegan anymore. I made too much vegan food. No, no, no. Now I'm keto, if you can believe that. But
What that means, keto?
it means no vegetables, basically, just meat and dairy, and yeah. So I went from all vegetables to kind of none vegetables. But it was intriguing. It was what I learned is that just because you're successful in one business. So my husband and I had already built one multi-million-dollar business, and we thought, well, I have some skills here and I really did make delicious food, so we should be able to easily do this. it doesn't always translate across industries. So that business absolutely does not. The food was great, the product was great.
I
Yeah.
opened a restaurant and I lost 200,000 pounds
Oh God.
in London, in Brick Lane, doing this after I beat them my property business that was selling millions. So I know what you're talking about.
Food is hard. That's a hard business. And we self-funded the whole thing. And honestly, we didn't have deep enough pockets to self-fund that. We ended up closing it
Yeah,
down. So
it happened to me that
yeah.
the learning curve it was longer than what I thought. I'm coming from property. When you make a lot of money, you find a client and the client is still 1 year. They pay you a lot of money, and then I'm sitting in this business when you need a lot of clients and they pay very little money, and then you have something they call food costs. And am I doing here? Every time that I meet a restaurant owner that is making profit, I always tell him, look, so good
Uh-huh.
business.
Food is
Why
hard.
you doing the restaurant? You should be doing something else. It's easy. You should love food, right? They're really
Uh-huh.
passionate about food because I don't get it. It's so much, it's complex. You need a lot of clients. You have to deal with the food costs. You have to do the marketing, sales, branding, you name it. You have to be good at everything to run a successful restaurant. I learned this the hard way. I realized that I just don't like, what I really like is to eat the food.
Me too.
Yeah,
That's what I learned.
exactly.
Same
Exactly.
here.
So, call it Harry Spanish Tobacco. Can you believe that? If mine didn't have a clue. If you have a restaurant, Spanish restaurant, you call it Pepe, you call it Lola, you call it your name, Harry. So call it
There you
Harry
go.
Spanish Tobacco. That was a big disaster. Yeah, but never mind. I learned a lot about business because when things goes bad, you learn a lot, and
So here's the
this
thing
is
we need to
important, right?
remember is, yeah, as entrepreneurs, failure is not a waste, right? So my food business did not succeed. It was a failure, but it was not a waste because I was a different person coming out of that. I knew so
Mhm,
much more about business and
mhm,
finance and marketing and business plans. And did the business survive? No, but I did, and I survived
mhm.
better. So the next chapter was
Exactly.
better. And I think
We
entrepreneurs
always
need to
come
remember
back
that.
in a different form. Yeah. So the
Yes.
entrepreneurs, you see, when we fail, then we always come back in a different form. I remember when after the fail in the restaurant, I was not even sure what I want to do, but certainly I was sure what I didn't want. So one
Clarity.
of the things was to be Monday to Sunday inside a place that I have to be there because the chef doesn't come or the waiter is sick or whatever. I had to do it. And I was good in the waitering things and customer service. In the kitchen, I was a disaster. And sometimes if the chef need help, I had to be able to go and help. And I'm not as good at that. I like to cook at home once every 2 weeks, completely different book game. And for one person or two people, completely different. Ball game is prepare food for so many people. Food preparation, you actually need a lot of skills, but it was intense. Okay, so I agree 100% to you, Rebecca, that we have to be careful when we're going into business because the skill set that you have in one doesn't translate to other industry. So other stories about running a business with 7 children. I think that your story is very inspiring. So I want that you share a little bit more for our moms, entrepreneurs that they are listening to the podcast. Any more
Yeah.
stories about running a business with 7 children?
So here's what I'm going to tell you is I've raised 7 children. My husband became critically ill in 2017. So he's been my business partner for all of my life until 2017. He was, and I don't know if you're this way, Harry, he was the kind of guy that didn't like to go to the doctor, right? He didn't like it. No, he would say to me, sweetheart, I don't need somebody in a white coat to tell me I need to lose 20 pounds. I already know that. I don't need to pay someone to tell me that, right? Yes. Yes. Huh? Yes. So in 2017, he hadn't been feeling well. For a while, I made him go to the doctor, and I was homeschooling 6 children at this time. We were in business together, we were doing
Wow.
well. And the doctor came out after an hour in the emergency room and he looked at me and he said, Mrs. Irey, your husband will never check out. Figure
Oh,
out your life.
wow. Wow.
So now
That
he did
was,
check out. 18 months later, he was in the hospital for 18 months. He had a liver
wow.
transplant and has subsequently lost both legs, but he's still with me. So 31 years of marriage, he's still with me.
Mhm.
But here's what I learned from that is that we need a team of people to support us, right? If you think about the wealthy people that you've interviewed, Harry, or you think of any wealthy family, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, anybody you can think of that's wealthy, do you think they just have one person advising them? I promise you that they do not.
No, they
They
have
have,
several coaches. The more wealth they have, the more people they have around. Richard Branson, I don't know if you heard about Richard Branson
of course,
from United Kingdom. Oh my God, he's surrounded for so many people because to dissipate the chaos that he generates all the time. Like, I have this idea, let's do this, let's do that. And then he has several coaches, lots of mentors around, uh, you know, evaluate and try to dissipate as much as possible, right? So that,
right?
and he purpose around himself with all these people because he know that otherwise would be idea after idea won't make sense, right?
But we need a team of support, right? So what I learned is that Richard Branson has millions, maybe billions of dollars. I don't, but what I have is everything to me. And I need a team of people to help me do that, not just a financial advisor, not just an accountant, not just a broker or a business coach. I need all of those things. So after my husband became ill and I realized that my business partner was not able to be my business partner anymore, I created Blue Sky Financial to provide a team of people. So I do tax minimization and retirement income planning. That's what I'm really good at. But my clients also need tax advisory, right? So we've got someone who does tax advisory on the team. We've got accountants on the team. We've got estate planning people on the team. We've got business coaches on the team. So when someone works with Blue Sky Financial, you have a team of people. You may not have Richard Branson's money, but what you have means everything to you, and it means everything to us. And I'll be your
So,
quarterback, and we're going to run the plays and bring in special teams as much as we need to manage things so that we're all successful together, right? That's a
mhm.
different strategy, but it works for
Yeah,
wealthy families, and it should work for us too, right?
100%. And then so what message, Rebecca, do you have for entrepreneurs that are here listening the podcast, and some of them have shared the story that they make money, they reinvest in the business, they make money, they reinvest in the business, they make money, they reinvest in the business, and one day COVID happened, anything happened, and they can go to zero in 2 to 3 months very quickly. Whether we sharing this podcast that is well with someone like you that have experience in businesses and also create something more sustainable. For example, I always share here that okay, if you have a business and you're making money, why you don't take some of this money, invest in a property, okay, pay the mortgage, and then the rest of the money you can use it for marketing for your business. That's okay. And if one day the business collapse, you still have the property giving you a cash flow, right? So entrepreneurs, they are very good making money. They are very bad at keeping money because the fact that they are good entrepreneurs are how many times in this podcast we already interviewed 500 millionaires. People have come to this podcast and say, Harry, I make millions, I lose it. Make millions, lose it. Millions, lose it. So clearly they have an ability to create a product and to sell it. However, the second part, become a great investor, learn how to handle that capital in order to invest it or put it to produce. That's the weak part that a lot of entrepreneurs have. So I'm glad, Rebecca, you come to the podcast because this is something you can help them with. We want all entrepreneurs to be wealthy, healthy, and happy. So tell us what are the biggest challenges that you see in entrepreneurs that have a business, they making the money, reinvesting the business, making the money, reinvesting the business in order to expand, 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 without knowing that there are few risks attached to having only one business. I always said the worst number in business is one. one business, one stream of income, one this, that. So what is your opinion, or what message do you have for entrepreneurs, especially women? I think you're very passionate about women, so let's address it to women also.
You have to save for yourself, right? Money has two purposes. So what you just said is exactly the problem. We make the money, we reinvest it in the business. We make the money, we reinvest it in the business. And then something happens, right? Like, Rebecca, your husband will never check out of the hospital. Oh, well, I didn't plan for that. Crap, right? Or I broke my leg and I can't be a roofer anymore. Or whatever, I had a heart attack and I can't write books anymore. We plan for the worst and prepare for the best. So money has two purposes: performance and purpose. So yes, reinvest in your business, but always pay yourself first. Like, we all know this, right? Pay yourself first. That's your purpose money. That money has an obligation to you to support you when you cannot support yourself. Plant the seeds for yourself, because the universe is tricky. She's going to throw you a curveball here and there. And what are you going to do when you get a curveball? If you don't have any money allocated to purpose because you've plowed it all back into the business, that's not going to work. One curveball and you're out. And now you're out of the game altogether because you didn't allocate to your own protection. I'm not saying you have to do even 10, 15% of your revenue, putting that away. And it doesn't have to be invested. It can still be liquid. There are options for liquidity. But if you plow it all back into the business under the guise of, I can more, I can make, yeah, you can, until the day you can't. Take care of yourself. Plan a little bit for yourself, right? Pay yourself first. This is one of the first rules of financial planning. We all know this. Pay yourself first. But as entrepreneurs, we don't. We pay our business, our blood, sweat, and tears, and every dollar we make gets plowed back into that business in the hope that someday. But if the universe throws you a curveball and someday never comes, then you're out of the game. That's not fun. Can you imagine you and I being out of the game and now we have to work a job? Job? Okay, we wouldn't make it very long. Come on, I'm basically unemployable. I couldn't work a job. I'm way too rebellious.
Neither
I'm
do
way
I.
too rebellious. I'm way too opinionated, right? Pay yourself first.
We like to do our things in our own way. So, Rebecca, if someone is in love with this conversation, how people can find you, how this process work?
So you can reach me at Blue Sky Financial, BLUESKYE financial.com. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. But absolutely reach out to check out the website. There's a lot there. We do a lot for small businesses: business mitigation, exit planning, strategy, tax advisory. There's so much there. A team is necessary. Take advantage of a team. And don't that just because you're starting, you can't afford it. Really, invest in yourself first, pay yourself first, because that's the biggest dividends you're ever going to reap.
A lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, they're telling me all the time, Harry, I have a business. And my first question is also always, what is your team? What's your team? I have an startup, I have this idea, gonna do that. Yeah, what is it to your team? I said, no, just me. I said, well, you need
Then
a
you don't
team.
own a business, you own a
You
job.
need, exactly. You need a team, otherwise you alone won't be able to do it. So, Rebecca, last message is for what message do you have for entrepreneurs out there like you that are having tough time and they don't know how to get out of it? I think that you already shared your story, and you need to have a very strong mental health. This negative emotion that comes to you. Wow, my husband is really sick. I have the children. I have to run this. So it's a lot of negative baggage emotionally that go to your brain. That if you don't release this emotional pain, can become a physical pain. Pain. You can end up also with a heart attack, with cancer. So when do you realize that you also have to work on your mental health to make everything works? Otherwise, if you become if you don't let negative emotion go, then you end up tired, with bad mood, attracting the wrong people to the business, getting anxious, and this is not good. And in a very busy environment, that you are surrounded. So when do you realize that you have to take care of yourself and your mental health and your diet also?
I think you need to, like being an entrepreneur is stressful, right? Because every dollar that comes in the door, when you start, we're talking about teams, but the fact is, I started as one. You probably started as one. You don't start with the team, you start with you. And it's
You cannot afford
stressful.
a team. You
That's
cannot
right.
afford a
That's
team.
right.
You have to wear the
So
hats.
you you can close a big deal and be here and get fired all in the same day, right? It's mentally to get there. So I'm going to say two things. Number one, as a new person, have a plan, right? Have a strategy, sit down and do the right things, but also do the things that take care of yourself. Maybe that's music, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's working out, maybe it's all of those things, but don't give those things up. The things that keep you healthy and grounded, do those things. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting on the floor. But the other thing that I'm going to say is that sometimes our biggest stress is the things we don't want to face. So as entrepreneurs, we sometimes are like, I don't want to balance the books because I'm afraid of what it's going to say. I don't want to know my metrics because I'm afraid of what it's going to say. When I was pregnant with my fifth child, I had gained a lot of weight and I wouldn't step on the scale anymore, right? As a fat girl on scale, I didn't want to step. I mean, really, I was terrified of the scale because I was embarrassed and I was ashamed of what I had, it was a lot of kids I had. And a doctor once told me, she said, stepping on the scale is not good. What the number is not good or bad. It just is what it is. It's what you do from there that matters, right? It's what you do when you leave the office. Do you go get another pint of ice cream, girl? Or are you going to do something? Are you going to go for a walk, right? And I think as entrepreneurs, when I coach women, a lot of times I will say, fat girl on scale, we need to know where we are. It's not good or bad. There's no shame in the numbers. They just are what they are. But if you don't know what they are, you can't make them better. And if you can't make them better, they're probably going to get worse. There's no shame in the numbers, but we don't want to look. We don't want to see. I spent too much. I did this, that, and the other thing, and it didn't work. And now I'm ashamed and I'm frightened that this is not going to work out. There's no shame in the numbers, but you need to know them. Be the fat girl on the scale. Trust me. I had to step on it backwards because I was so terrified of the number. But the doctor said, there's no shame. There's not good or bad. It just is what it is. It's what you do with it from here that matters. And as entrepreneurs, if you're having a rough time, get on the dang scale. Know where you are. Figure out where your leaks are. Get a team. Get a free consultation so that you can get a strategy for. Can't move forward. It's not very frozen.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And for all
You're
of
welcome.
you following the podcast, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable. Brave entrepreneur like Rebecca, break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.